Shine, welcome to DJ 360 Word. How's your day going?
So far so good. It's a nice Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, it's pretty warm outside though.
It is hot.
So let's start from the beginning, right? Born and raised.
Here locally, Germantown and Gaithersburg. Yeah.
Okay, so how was your upbringing as far as being an infant? Like I'm talking from 0 to 7, if you can remember.
As far as that period, I was in Italy, so I was 4. My dad's military, so we were stationed in Italy, in Naples, and then we came over. But then from 4 to 7, if I probably remember a little bit better, I didn't remember that time period. Um, but yeah, it was good. It was kind of quiet. There wasn't a lot of action in Germantown at that time. So just a normal kid just playing sports and stuff.
So I remember I came over here. I think I came over here from Atlanta in 2004. Germantown was really dead.
Yeah,
Even the bus is going over there. You have to catch it before midnight or 11 p.m. before going to the transit center in Germantown.
exactly.
Back in the days, it was really dead. Now, so like, tell me about that phase where, um, like growing up. What is the music influence throughout that period of time for you?
Well, that period of time, it was a lot of the kids in my neighborhood were really into like hip hop
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. So a lot of them, listening to like Wu Tang and the Mob Deeps and all that stuff, all the classic '90s stuff. As far as me, I also have my influences with like down south music.
Mm-hmm.
I have friends in PG County, so they would keep me up on all the like UGK and all that kind of stuff, and just like the more of those influences, and of course go go stuff like that. So a lot of my influences are just really from all my friends.
Okay, so like, did you play any instrument? Uh,
No instruments, just the clarinet in school for a little bit, but no instruments. I was more like a vocal person. I was in chorus a little bit.
okay. So being from the military, a military family, do you have to travel a lot,
Well,
or
we
you
did. My
basically?
parents did. They actually like honeymoons in Hawaii, and they traveled. My dad traveled a bit, but no, I didn't. I didn't get to travel. I missed that part, unfortunately.
So you didn't travel, because what I hear most of the time from military, family, they tend to
They're
move from
always
city to
moving.
city,
Yeah, no, he was stationed in
you know.
D.C. At that point, when we got to D.C., he was just stationed there, and then he retired.
Okay, because people, kids, throughout that period of time, don't happen to make a lot of friends because they have to move constantly, and they don't have like I grew up in an area where people that I see today or talk to today, as far as like childhood and friendships,
Hmm.
or those people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if you miss that period of time from 0 to 7, where you're learning, your brain is learning,
Hmm.
and you constantly have to move, then it created kind of like you don't have the opportunity to socialize and
Sure.
like bond with people from the early from the early
Hmm.
age of your life. So I don't know if you experienced that, but
No,
you didn't experience that. Your kind of stable environment.
no, not so much. Definitely, pretty stable environment. We had our times with, my parents. Like, everybody's parents goes through things. With my dad being stationed, and also he was also away at times too. On some of the cruiser ships and stuff, and so he'd be gone for months at a time. So that was some of the harder points when he'd be gone for long periods of time. But as far as like socially and stuff, we had kids in my neighborhood. We had a lot of boys in my neighborhood. So it was we just run around and play different sports. We play like manhunt, and I was into like playing baseball and
Okay.
football and everything. So it was definitely pretty social. I had some girls in my neighborhood too, but that was just being athletic was my highlights. I would say for sure.
Okay. So being from a military family again, I hear it all the time. Was your dad really really a strict person?
Yes,
Because you have to be
very
disciplined.
strict.
Like,
Oh yeah, very very strict. Both my parents came from strict families, so it was very like this time you have to be in, you have to get good grades. It was a very like high level expectation, um, and they were honest. They weren't just like, oh, we'll see you later. Like, we were monitored at
Yeah.
all times. So,
So when did you realize you want to get into music?
well, as far as get into it, I don't know if it was a thing I just kind of got into. It was just like a thing that's always been a part of me. Ever since I was a kid. Just even at that point when I was exposed to like my parents' kind of music, I would, sing and all that stuff in the back seat of the car on long road trips, singing and even like with my babysitter and stuff like that. When I was really super young, I would like hum like different classical.
Mm-hmm.
Like classical really stood out to me for a while, and I would really try to imitate the different instruments. From like the violin to some of the other ones to see if I could reach the high notes. So it's just always been something that really like stuck with me. And as far as like rap and stuff, that came later with like my influences with my friends and stuff.
And classical music is not easy. If
No,
you hear the piano playing, it's very difficult. You have to train yourself. Like I think it's like 4 years of college education for you to be a classical piano player.
sure,
It takes discipline.
a lot
People
of
just
discipline.
don't look at it that way. They think it's just
Oh
classical music is
no,
really easy to tackle.
it's very intelligent, very
Yeah.
emotional. It definitely tells a story.
Okay. So do you think you got your discipline now from those kind of experiences that you had to leave
No,
young?
a lot of it depends on where you're like really want to correlate it, because a lot of my discipline is not only from my parents but also from working for myself.
Okay.
I think that like gave me the most discipline with just my own personal tasks. Like no one else is gonna do it unless you do it. Like no one else is gonna get it done if you don't feel well. Like the show still goes on.
Yeah.
That everything. So a lot of I would accredit that to mostly being a business for myself, and then also definitely my parents, my upbringing, and just always being expected to do well. Like it wasn't where I could just like slide by. I was always expected to a high level standard even by myself or people around me for sure.
Okay. So any high school around this area that you went to?
Yeah, I went to actually like a couple of different high schools. I went to Seneca, and I went
Oh,
to
Seneca.
for a little bit. I went to Quince Orchard. I went to Poolsville for like what felt like a couple days, but it was like a couple weeks. So I bounced around a little bit.
Okay. So throughout the high school period, did you take any music classes or it was no?
Mostly art classes.
Oh,
I
okay.
took a lot of art classes. I did was in chorus a bit, but mostly art classes, just like drawing, painting, design. I also went to Montgomery College and took some art classes, business
Oh,
classes
okay.
there. So I mean, it was just a lot of art was also a big factor for sure.